I forgot last time. Okay, so now we can record. Good. So now we're actually, this is the final session on Michi's opening concepts, and we're just going to pick out a few examples that we can just review and try to practice and all the proverbs and pull it all together. And then next time we can start on Michi's Endgame book, which is, I guess, is different in that you don't always have an endgame, particularly when you're doubled and you're out, that sort of thing. But when you are into an endgame, it's vitally important to get it right. And as any of you know, there's nothing more annoying than to be having closed out your opponent, going in for a gammon, and then getting hit and sitting by watching your certain victory go up in smoke. So those are important concepts. But now let's just review. I just have a couple positions. We can actually spend another year going over all these positions. But for now, for this one time, let's go back. And I want to look at the position. And this is importantly, look at all the proverbs that come into play and try to sort them out. I think all of these will have a number of different proverbs that we need to think about. And it's a question of getting the priorities correct. And I think most of them have a number of reasonable plays to make. So let's get started. So now we have a 4-3 to play here on what's on the screen. And so let's look, first of all, what are the proverbs that come into play? And then what are the viable options for us? How about we start with the proverbs? Well, I'm getting a loud silence. Well, we know that.
Fight for a good point. Make the 20.
Yeah, here's a good point. You can make that point. You can fight for the point here by knocking them off with the 3. Okay, those are 2. There's a couple more. How about tiger play? 3 from the 8, 4 from the 6, 2 on the bar. Those are good plays.
Making a point is better than hitting loose.
Yes, thank you. Making a point is better than hitting loose. Good one. How about attacking with 8 checkers is weak, attacking with 10 checkers is strong. So we've got 11 checkers in the zone. Okay, so having identified all that stuff, what's the right play? Another loud silence. Okay, so we can make the 5 point. Let's call that a good option. We can hit our opponent off the 5 point. And then with the 4, we can do the double tiger, or step up. That. Any idea of what the right play is and why?
I would make the 20, no? But well, you never know what's the right play. It's up to XG.
Yeah. Well, XG will tell us, but yeah. There's also my rule, it's not in Michi's book, but the idea if you're not going to make the 5 point, you should do two other good things, or 3, depending on how good they are. I would say that doesn't help us here because we can hit twice with the tiger play, which are 2 good things. Of course, we're leaving 2 blots in there. Anyone else want to weigh in on this one? Okay, so we'll look at the answer, and it is making the 5 point. So here, I mean, I think it's more that you're making the point is stronger. I mean, here we're fighting for the good point here, but we're giving up a point that we could make. So it's kind of like a bird in the hand here, is better than two in the bush. Some other things that Michi doesn't talk about is important, but Black has a decent board, so we don't want to get hit. I mean, we have a 3 point, but Black has the better point. So, but yeah, again, it's. I think the big thing here is you can make a strong point, and you better do something really, really good if you can't. The tiger play is second, and usually when we see the tiger play, it's because there's nothing better to do. And that's the case here. Now you have something though really good to do, so that's better than leave it. That makes it more worthwhile than continuing the attack. Okay, let's look at another one. And what proverbs do we see here? This is a little bit. A little bit similar to the previous one.
Well, you've got the possibility of a double. You have the possibility of a double tiger with only one loose checker. You have the possibility of making the 20 point. I think maybe only one loose checker. That may be enough to change the tide.
Well, yeah, I mean, we can't make the 20 point. We can slot the 20 point.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, sorry about that.
So
double tiger.
Yeah. Well, it's not okay. It's not the double tiger. This is nomenclature. I know what you mean. It's the tiger play. It's not the double tiger. The double tiger is when you leave 2 blots in. So yeah, we can go 8 to 5 and 5 to 1 with the tiger play, and it's the weak, which is what, the strong or the weak tiger?
Yeah, the weak tiger, because we don't want the 1 point.
Yeah. Right, we don't want the 1 point. Whenever you're thinking the tiger play early on, what's the other big consideration that you have? Because I mentioned it in the early one. It's attacking with 8 checkers is weak, and attacking with 10 checkers is strong. So what do we have? We have, unless you're muted yourself. So yeah, we've got 10 checkers in the zone. There's that's the strong play. Well, there's another play. We could go up the hit and split, I guess. 24-20 and 8-5. So what do we think? What do we think is right? Any strong opinions? Leslie, you're going to venture to guess? It sounds like you're.
Well, we're all scared to be. We're all afraid. We're all afraid to be wrong. I would do the double tiger.
Yeah. Well, the double tiger is right.
It's
not the double tiger. It's the tiger play is right, and it's because we've got the 10 checkers in the zone, and all the other plays don't really accomplish much. The split is the next best play, but you're giving a lot of shots back. When you go to the ace, you're basically giving up 11 shots off the ace to hit you. If you stay at the 5, keeping that blot there, you've got 11 fives, a 4-1, and a 2-3, plus a 4-3 to hit. So you've got 17 return shots, which is a whole lot more than 11. Plus you've got, you're giving up a lot of jokers, double ones, particular, and you can get hit twice, coming in with a 5 and then with a 1 or a 3 over there, or even the double 5s hits twice. So, this is a case where the double tiger is the right play, and knowing that you've got the 10 checkers in the zone here, I think it is key. That's not the double. Sorry, it's not the double tiger; it's the tiger play. But hitting twice is the right move here. Okay, let's go to the next one. All right, 4-1 to play, and what? What are the main? What are the things we should be looking at here?
I don't want to monopolize. You have only 8 checkers. You have 8 checkers, so you have a weak offense.
Yeah.
You're up against 10 checkers on the defense.
Okay, but we're not looking to hit anything. So we're not, when you attack with 8 is weak and 10 was strong, but we're not attacking here. We can't. Nothing to attack. So when you're in a situation like this, let me put the proverbs on the screen. So we should go through, hit. And I'm coming up the screen to realize, but hit, so we can't hit anyone, so that doesn't count. Points priority. Well, we already have our own 5-point. Pull it off here, and I guess we could slot the 20, but we're the defensive 5-point here, but we're leaving it under attack from this point and the 8 and stacks under the 8 and the 5.
So 13-9 and 6-5.
Yeah, that's one option. But let's go through. So 5. So okay, making outfield point, we can't do that. Unstack, but keep a spare in the midpoint. Okay, so we could unstack by 13-9. Tiger play doesn't come into play. Attacking, we're not attacking here. Placing bots for our strip points, we don't have that play. But then splitting rules come into play. We have the chance to split here. So, I mean, there's nothing, we can't make a point, we can't hit, we can't do anything that constructive, but we can split. So,
but you're in a blitzing structure.
That's right. There's a blitzing structure. Go back to the splitting rules. So looking, the question is, okay, 13-9 would be something somewhat constructive. But then the question is, do we come 24-23? Alternatively, we could do 24-20 and 6-5. That's, doesn't bring a checker in the zone. It doesn't unstack. I didn't mention unstacking here. We're keeping the spare, but we certainly want to unstack. So that's, that would be a reason to do this. So putting 13-9. But then again, as I've said, whenever you have the chance to split, you should really consult the splitting rules to see, is this a good time to split or not? And so what are the splitting rules? Okay, signs not to split. Opponent has 10 or more checkers in the zone. Blitzing structure in particular, as Miller mentioned. So yeah, Black's brought down, he got a 5-2 and brought 2 down. 10 checkers in the zone. And this is a blitzing structure. He's got stacks on the 5, on the 6 and the 8. So, that suggests, maybe we shouldn't split. If we had,
the other consideration, Gary, might be your discussion, I guess, 2 lessons ago about setting up the prime. So bringing the checker to the 9 and 5 to the 4 helps your prime structure. Yeah, 6. Yeah,
and 6 to 5. Yeah, it allows you. It gets you builders for the bar and for the 4. So yeah, that's a good point. If not sure what to do, how's the priming battle goes? The way Michi put it. But back to the splitting, you know, here, we've got a sign now to split, a fairly strong sign. The splitting structure is a pretty strong sign. Are the back checkers well blocked? Well, no, the bar point is open. Opponent has an advanced taker? No, he's back on his ace point. Opponent has split his back checkers? No, he hasn't split. So, you know, all of those things say don't split here. What's the right answer? Don't split. You know, bring it down 6-5. Now, splitting is the second best choice, and it's not a huge error. But you know, this is, you know, the point of kind of Michi's proverbs is to, you know, eliminate these types of errors. They're fairly simple if you know the splitting rules. This is a very clear sign, you know, not to split, so don't split. You know, it's kind of, and it's, you know, as simple as that. Okay, let's do this one. Okay. And what do we see here?
You know, Gary, I don't remember the proverb on it, but I know Michi loves stacking up on the 9 as a building.
Yeah, well,
I don't remember the rule on that, but he's a real fan of the 9.
Yeah,
hates the 2.
Yeah. Well, he talked a lot about the 9 point. The 9 point was he identified as the best builder to have, but mostly he talked about it in terms of defensively. If your opponent has the 9 point, that's when you should be trying to disrupt him so that he can't make a strong point. Because if you have the 9 point, you come down with the 4 initially, and then almost any roll afterward makes makes a decent point somewhere on the inner board. But what he never said, and he never really provided any examples for, is actually actively seeking to make the 9 point. I'm sorry, to either make the 9 point or to slot the 9 point. It's more like once you've done it, you need to react to it, and that's not something you actively seek. So, but okay, what are the feasible plays we could make here? You know, we could make the 9 point, 11-9, 10-9, but what else is there?
I think this is a splitting position where you have to see that the 8 point is stripped. We don't have good 6s, so it's time to split.
Yes, okay, split. You get a 1 or 2. You always got to think about splitting. And Michi had a proverb too about, you know, look to slot if you have a 1. So we need to look at that too. But so let's look. But here again, we have a chance to split. What do we do when we have a chance to split? Well, you should think about the splitting rules. Here they are over there. Signs to split. Opponent has 10 or more checkers, or not to split. 10 or more checkers in the zone, and in particular a blitzing structure. Well, he's only got 9, so that's not 10. Signs, so we don't have a sign to not split. Signs to split. Back checkers are well blocked. Well, he's got the bar, you know, so we're blocked. The 5s and 6s are blocked. So we need to. So that's a sign to split. The opponent does not have an back anchor and hasn't split. So, and the stripped 8. The 8 and the 7 are stripped. So we've got some signs, security signs to split. So it seems like we should split. We've also had the idea of making an outfield point, and Miller was trying to make, okay, we can make the 9 point. But can you see a play that both splits and makes a point?
24, 22, 11, 10.
Yeah, 24. Yeah, and there's another one too. 13, 11, 24, 23. We could do that one. Now,
yeah, but you don't want to take your 3rd checker off your 13 point.
Okay, that's, yeah. Good observation. Yeah, we don't want to unstack the midpoint unless for good reason. Usually the good reason is to hit. We also would leave a blot here, which we don't need to do really. That's not that crucial, but it is a blot. Also, if we split with the ace, Michi had another proverb of which we haven't talked about much, but make sure you can play a good 6. But if you move the back 2, you can play a 6 from it. So if you get double 6s, it doesn't. You can use that to use up a number of your 6s. So all that points to the best play, which is making the point, splitting to getting good 6s, and splitting the back checkers. The second best play was making the 9 point. But you can see if you go through all the proverbs that there's a lot, there's greater value in both splitting and making the point.
What would you do there, Gary?
No, I would do this. I would do the split. I usually, the splitting rules are pretty up in the forefront of my mind when I'm looking at this stuff, because particularly when when the opponent opens with the 6-1 or has made the bar point, that's a sign to me that I need to split, and I need to look I need to look for a good opportunity to split. Now it doesn't mean that I'm not going to ignore other good rolls. Like if we had a 6-1, we're certainly going to make the 5 point, or a 6-2 or something like that from this position. But anything that doesn't do something really constructive, and by really constructive, I mean, make one of the strong points, then I'm going to split here. Michi had this big discussion of, how the 9 point was a better builder than the 10 and so forth. But here, it's a little bit better, not a lot better. Here you can make it a 10 point and split, whereas if you make the 9 point, you don't split. So when there's an advantage here to split, or a necessity to split, the 10, maybe it's not quite as good, but it's not bad either. We're kind of, to a certain point, a lot of these ideas are some of them are much more important than others, and particularly in certain circumstances. So again, you have a sign to split, so really look to split. And in fact, the way that I look at it is, if I see the sign to split, then I'm looking to split, and then I'm looking for seeing if there's anything better that I can do, because I'm going to split first and then figure out what to do later. And then hopefully I see that there's a better point to make somewhere, if there is. So okay. Next one. So 3-2 to play. What should be the first thing everyone should see?
Hit.
A hit.
Yes, hit. Proverb 0, hit. 3 comes down to here on the bar. So now we have a 2 to play.
Split.
Yeah, so we can split. We can go 10 to 8, or we can come down with 2. So how do we evaluate that? Well, if we're going to split, we got to look at the splitting rules. Hopefully I would really, you really need to memorize these, because I don't want to show this screen again because I've showed it too much with the list, but we don't have a strong splitting sign here. We're not blocked. 8 point isn't stripped. Black has not, it's not split his checkers. He was on the bar and has not made an advanced anchor. So there's no strong reason to split. Doesn't mean it's not right to split. Michi talked about a hit in split play. There's a good reason to do that. The problem with splitting is you can get attacked if you split. So if we've hit, black has to roll to come in, so we can't use the other point on us. How do we evaluate that? Well, coming down with the 3, with the 2, strips our midpoint. Okay, so that's a negative there. Coming to the 8 is okay. It's a little bit boring. It does prevent you from getting hit back from the bar, but it's kind of stacks up a builder. It's not terrible. Or splitting. Splitting is always good, particularly when he's on the bar. So all that is going to add to. Whoops. Let me put the play back. All that is going to be is that hit and split is the best play. This one, the hit and move is the second best play, but it's not by much. 2 down is also a decent play, but it strips the midpoint and actually gives it a couple of return shots, which are the negatives there. So it's the hit and split in this case. Okay, I've got a couple more.
Hit.
Hit, that's right. First thing we see is hit. 24-23. Well, actually, there's a couple of hits there. Which one were you talking about, Miller? Well, that's a real question, though. Which one were you talking about? Did you see 24-23 as a hit or 6-4 as a hit to do first?
I think both.
Okay, yeah. And who said that? Was that Lisa?
Yes.
Okay, and why?
Well, 2 on the bar is better by far.
Yes, a tiger play. Yeah. Well, so the first thing I think you should see is hit 24-23. That sends black way back, gets you a big lead in the race. And so that would be my first move. And then it's a question of what do you do with the 2? And there are a number of good things to do. I mean, you can come back with, making the 11 point, and making a point is always, there's a proverb to that, making the outfield point. And generally making the outfield point, Michi has another part, making the outfield point is better than hitting loose. But does that apply here? And in favor of making 6-4, well, we're fighting for the strong point, knocking him off. We're also doing that. We're doing the tiger play, and strong tiger or weak tiger. Well, it's a strong tiger. We're sliding a point that we want. So that's in the tiger play favor. Also, as we saw in the double tiger chapter, when you have 2 checkers on the bar, the chances of getting hit with one of them coming in is less. Yes, it's a direct 4, but there's no combinations. You've got 11 direct 4s, and that's it. So your risk is not as high as it normally might be if you just have 1 checker on the bar. There are a couple of factors that are outside the scope of Michi's the opening, and that is, okay, we have the better board, so we have, if you have the better board, you have an advantage in a kind of the hitting game. And so, that comes into play here as well. Okay, so what's the answer? The answer is the tiger play, double hit, followed by, making the point. And what was this one? This.
Gary, may I ask your opinion on something?
Sure.
Excuse me. From what I understand, if someone has two back checkers in someone else's home board, it's not so much of a big deal, but when they're 4, then that's a back game. They can configure to be a strong back game. So what do you think about that? Would that come into play here at all?
Yeah, I think that does, because and the back games are out of scope of this book, but yeah, when you have a back game, if you've got 2 points in your opponent's home board. So black has now had 3 checkers. By hitting him here, he's going to have a 4th there. And so what you really want to avoid is allowing black to anchor. You don't want to anchor at all, but in particular, you don't want to double anchor. You don't want to give him the back game. So that adds to hitting off the 4 point. Now, if he's going to get a back game, it's going to be on the ace and 2, which would not be great. That would be a good roll for black to come in with a 1-2. But it prevents him from, the stronger back game is on the 4 really at this point. Now again, back games are a little bit out of the scope, but yeah, that's exactly right. That is another reason for hitting here. Is if you have a chance to blitz, and we're not really there yet, but you want to prevent your opponent from getting the anchor, because that allows you to eventually close them out, and then you can go get the gammon. Once your opponent has made an anchor, he's not out of the woods yet, but it's a lot stronger than not having one. Okay, so good question.
Thanks.
All right, couple more. Two, 3. So what are we looking at here? What are the key proverbs here?
Was the weak tiger hit?
We do the weak tiger, yeah, from the 6 point. And what's the important corresponding proverbs on the tiger play?
He can't hit you back because in.
Well, no, he can't, because we're leaving. It's the weak tiger. We've got a blank the blot on the ace, but what's early on in the tiger play? There's actually 2 key proverbs that kind of control whether you should do the tiger play or not. Okay, it's attacking with 8 checkers is weak, but 10 checkers is strong. So so here we're attacking with 8 checkers. Probably don't want to do that. That's probably not the key. Tiger play is not the one to look at here. But we've got other things to look at. We've got a stack here, and this is the 4 point. We want to fight for the strong point. So whenever you see this and you don't have something constructed to do, you're going to want to hit 6 to 4. Because you're unstacking and fighting for the strong point. So given that, what do we do with the 3?
Split, move him to the 21.
We could split with the hit and split, yeah. What else can we do with the 3?
Unstack your tower.
Yeah, 13 to 10. Unstacking to points. So doing this unstacks your 2 heavy points. Or you could hit. I think hitting is the first thing that you have to see here. You got to hit 6 to 4, and then you can ask questions. Okay, do we carry on with a tiger play? Well, we don't have 8 checkers, and we don't have 8 in zone, so the answer is no. We don't do the tiger play in that situation. Then what? Well, we can split, and given that we've hit black, it's a good time to split. Or we can unstack the midpoint, and that's a good thing to do here. In this case, it also gives a direct 6 to cover our blot. If black doesn't come in, it doesn't hit us coming in. So, and what's the answer? The answer is either of those 2 plays. Good. The coming down from the midpoint or splitting the back checkers. These are absolutely equal, and the weak tiger is a little bit worse. Okay, I've got two more, and we'll call it a day. All right, double twos to play. So what's the first thing everyone should see?
Hit.
Hit, yes. Proverb 0. Hit.
Yeah, double tiger, double hit, I guess.
Okay, yeah, we can do the tiger play. Carry on the 2. Carry on the 2 out to the 9 point or the 16 point from this perspective.
You could hit on the 20 and make the 4 point.
We can also make the 4 point, yeah.
That's great.
What proverbs come into play there? To make the 4 point.
Fight for the good points.
Yeah, we don't even have to fight for it. We can make it. So yeah, so 6 to 4, making the good point. So it's a question. You should see first. Okay, hit. You got to hit first. Put them on the bar, and now what? Now we can hit. We can hit again, or we can make the point. And hopefully,
it's better to make a point than to hit loose. That's the.
Yeah, there's a good one too. Well, not only do you make the point, but you unstack your 6.
Right.
And to add to that, black is on the bar, making a point. The whole point of one of the values of making a point is when your opponent's on the bar. Well, you just put your opponent on the bar, so now you can make a point as well, giving you more problem. One other play that we should think about, though, we haven't talked about yet. Who can see what it is? And I think it comes into play at certain scores. While you're thinking about it, I will. That's it. No one sees it? Okay, you have 2 more to play.
Just make the 20.
We could make the 20, yeah. Could make the 5 point. Okay. All right, so let's see what it is. And the answer is going to be, okay, we're going to fight for this good point, and we're going to make the 4 point. So the idea here is, again, if we don't make the 5 point, we better do a couple good things. And so we're making a strong point, and we're also unstacking. So those are very important things.
So Gary, you mentioned that the match score might make a difference.
Yeah.
And I was just curious, if you really can't afford to get gammon, what kind of a match score would lead you to make the 20 point?
Yeah, I was thinking, something like something like this. It turns out this is not right. There are certain situations where it's right to come out with the double twos to come out and make the 5 point, where you're looking at not getting gammoned at all. This isn't one of it, but you can see how close it is. Let's do it plus.
And you change the score to?
I changed it to 4.
4 to 6.
Yeah. So here, you don't really want to get gammoned here. Let's look at this. The gammon here, this I would think would be better. It's not.
So it's still right to make the 4, but it's close. Yeah.
There are situations where I can't remember what it was. There is a specific situation where it's slightly better to make the 5 point with the double twos on the opening roll. It's almost always right to make the 4 point. And then it's a question of, okay, do you come down from the midpoint to make the 11 point? But when you can hit, then the hitting is the higher priority.
Try switching the score 6-5 the other way around. there.
No, this one I would think it would be much stronger. Oh, it is.
Yeah. This is where I have to gammon. Okay.
Yeah. Well, that's okay. Well, yeah. The thing here is that these ones here mean that you're going to double next time, and your opponent's going to drop.
Okay.
So that sort of throws it off.
Okay.
Okay. Last one. Oops, I did it wrong. All right, double fours. Doubles are always tricky because there's so many combinations. But here's, this case is instructive. Whenever you see this type of situation, it's almost always right to do a particular thing.
Make 2 home points?
Yeah, exactly. You have a stack here and you have a stack there. You can unstack both, make 2 inner board points. And you can't do anything constructive with any of the other plays. I mean, you can run this out, but you can't save it. You could make the 5 point and come up. That's probably the second best play. Maybe not. Let's see. But yeah, I mean, you can make with the 2 spares on the 8, you can make the 4 point with making the strong point and not giving up anything at all. Whereas you could come down and make the 5 point. That doesn't even show up. But this is making the 5 point. No, where is it?
I think it's number 3.
This one. There you go. There we go. Yeah.
No, number 3 is the 5 point.
Yeah. So here we're making the 5 point. Oh, this one. Yes. No one would do this one, I don't think. So yeah, this is number 3, making the 5 point. But you make the 5 point and you've stripped your midpoint, and you brought these 2 checkers out to be under attack. Again, you have made the 5 point, which is great. But you can make the 4 point, without giving up anything. And so why not do that, and then make the 2 point. You can unstack your 6 point. So when you've got the 2 on the 2 spares on the 8, and you get doubles like that, it's almost always right to come in with both from both the 8 and the 6. All right, so that's the last example I had. It's 10 to 9. So great. So we'll do the chouette if we have enough players. Who would like to stick around with the chouette? Let me cut off the recording too.